Introduction. You feel it before you understand it. There's this moment that sneaks up on you, not loud, not dramatic, just soft, subtle, but undeniable. You wake up one day and your heart isn't so heavy. You walk past an old trigger and realize you didn't flinch. Someone throws shade your way and you don't shrink. You don't puff up either. You just stay still. Stay centered. It's not that you're above it. You're just not in it anymore. That's karma clearing. It's not something you earn like a loyalty point. It's not divine punishment or cosmic revenge either. Karma's not here to hurt you. It's here to evolve you. Let's clear the confusion first. Karma isn't some mystical spreadsheet in the sky keeping tally of your good and bad deeds. It's more like emotional gravity. The energy you carry creates momentum. Your reactions, your intentions, your patterns, they loop back until you learn what they came to teach. And when you do, the loop breaks. The storm settles. The story ends. But here's the catch. You don't always notice the transformation when it's happening. You might think, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I've grown numb. But no, numbness is heavy. This is light. This is clarity. If you're sensing a quiet peace where there used to be chaos, a strange spaciousness where once there was clutter, there's a good chance you've started releasing karmic weight. Not sure if that's you? Let's talk about the signs, the kind you can feel even before you fully understand them. Sign 1. You don't react. You observe, then respond. Let's be real. The old you were quick to clap back, quick to judge, quick to spiral. Someone made a snide comment and your whole day derailed. One rejection and suddenly your mind turned into a courtroom, complete with imaginary arguments, emotional exhibits, and a jury of your harshest inner critics. But now, there's a pause, a breath, a beat between what happens to you and how you move through it. You might still feel the heat rise in your chest. You might still get that twinge in your gut. But instead of reacting, you wait, you witness, you feel, but you don't fuse with it. You're not the storm, you're the sky behind it. And that, my friend, is monumental. Because reactions are karmic loops. They're echoes of unprocessed emotion, pain you inherited or stored long ago. But when you respond instead of react, that's presence, that's healing, that's karma releasing its grip. A tea story you'll never forget. There's a classic parable from Zen tradition. A young monk spills tea on an elder's robe. He braces for a lecture, but the elder just looks down, then smiles. "Ah," he says, "now the robe is simply tea-colored. No blame, no drama, just reality as it is." That's what karmic clarity gives you. Space. Not everything needs your fire. Not everything deserves your inner peace. You don't avoid conflict out of fear anymore. You simply don't hand over your energy like free samples at a mall kiosk. You're discerning, not detached. Present, not passive. And you know what? That kind of restraint, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the softest kind of power. Sign 2. People start treating you differently, but you don't crave it anymore. You ever notice how energy introduces you before you even speak? Yeah, people feel you before they understand you. And when your karma begins to clear, something about your presence changes, and the world picks up on it. But here's the surprising part. You don't even care if they notice. That thirst, the one that used to crave validation, attention, approval, it's gone. Not because you stopped needing people altogether. You just stopped needing their permission to feel whole. It's subtle. You're not walking into a room trying to impress anymore. You're not scanning faces for reactions. You don't shapeshift to be likable. You don't over-explain your decisions. You're not performing. You're just showing up. And funny enough, that's when people actually start leaning in. The same people who once overlooked you now find you intriguing. The energy vampires lose interest because your old wounds aren't bleeding anymore. Even random strangers treat you with more kindness and curiosity. Not always, but often enough that you start to notice. And no, this isn't magic, it's energetic alignment. Like a social scent. Really, let me throw a metaphor at you. Kind of weird, but stay with me. Ever walked into someone's home and instantly felt calm or tense? You didn't need to see clutter or candles. You felt the vibe. Humans give off emotional scent trails too. Not literal ones, but energetic ones. When your karma is loaded, your energy smells like fear, neediness, resentment. People may not know why they keep their distance, but they do. But when you start clearing your karma, that scent changes. You smell like boundaries, like clarity, like peace. And here's the real kicker. You're no longer performing for connection, you're emanating it. So people stop treating you like an option, because you stopped treating yourself like one. Mini reflection, the shift that no one can fake. Let's be honest, you can fake confidence for a while. You can quote affirmations, post spiritual memes, and curate a version of yourself that looks whole. But when your karma's truly been touched by transformation, it doesn't just show in your words, it shows in your energy. You walk differently, you speak from a quieter place, you listen more, need less, and you don't chase. Not attention, not love, not closure. You've returned to yourself. That energy, it's magnetic. Sign 3, the same old patterns stop showing up. Have you ever paused mid-conversation and thought, wait a second, haven't I lived this exact scene before? Same situation, same emotion, just a different outfit. It's like déjà vu, but with baggage. This is what karmic loops feel like. Life keeps tossing the same test at you, hoping this time you'll respond differently. A toxic relationship that's just a remix of the last one. The job that drains you, again. That familiar spiral of self-doubt. No matter how many pep talks you give yourself, it's not a curse. It's just unfinished business. But then, one day, it stops. Not because the world suddenly became kinder, but because you did. You stopped feeding the loop. You stopped engaging with what doesn't align. You stopped showing up to the same emotional rehearsal, expecting a different finale. And guess what? That's not a coincidence. That's karmic release. Patterns don't break, they unravel. Here's the thing, karmic patterns don't shatter like glass. They loosen like knots. Sometimes you don't even realize it's happening. You just notice that the drama doesn't knock anymore. The chaos doesn't feel familiar. You're not texting back your ex out of boredom. You don't say yes when your gut says no. You're not trying to fix people. You're not begging the universe for signs. You're just choosing differently. And that's the real miracle. It's not that pain never shows up. It's that you don't invite it in anymore. You don't pour it tea. You don't call it home. The lesson has landed. The loop has closed. A quiet drop in emotional chaos. A lot of people think the sign of spiritual growth is being constantly ecstatic or unshakably happy. Nah. Real karmic clearing feels like this weird, calm drop in chaos. You used to walk through emotional landmines all day. Now, your days feel oddly smooth. Not boring, just peaceful. You're not watching your phone like it's a mood detonator. You're not overanalyzing texts. You're not scripting confrontations in your head while doing laundry. You're just here, present, light, not in a rush. And sometimes you miss the chaos. Weird, right? There's this part of us that gets addicted to drama, to stories, to the identity wrapped in suffering. So when things finally stabilize, your nervous system's like, wait, where's the fire? But you don't go looking for it, because you've made peace with stillness. Closure without theater. You no longer need grand finales, no explosive goodbyes, no emotionally charged one last talks. You don't need to win the breakup or be understood by people who refuse to hear you the first time. You're not chasing closure anymore because your peace is no longer up for debate. And when that becomes real for you, that's how you know. The cycle has ended. Sign 4, you feel deep peace, even when life isn't peaceful. Let's not sugarcoat it. Life still throws you curveballs. The bill arrives early. Your friend cancels plans last minute. Your body aches for no reason. People misunderstand you. Someone cuts you off in traffic while sipping their latte and singing like nothing happened. But here's what's wild. It doesn't rattle you like it used to. Not because you've stopped caring, not because you're emotionally numb, and definitely not because your life is suddenly perfect. It's because you're anchored in something deeper. Peace isn't conditional anymore. It's internal, not out there, in here, right in the middle of your chest. Software still, strong. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention, but it's there, even in the middle of the mess. Even when you don't know what's next. Even when you're unsure how things will turn out. There's a kind of clarity that arrives when your karma clears. A calmness that doesn't come from controlling everything, but from finally not needing to. From control freak to peaceful witness. Let me guess, you used to be a control freak, didn't you? You wanted the outcome. You wanted the timing. You wanted to plan the conversation in your head and theirs. You probably even rehearsed how they'd respond. Spoiler, they never did. That desire for control? It's a trauma response, and also a karmic one. It's born from a belief that life can't be trusted. But now, you're starting to release the grip. You don't over-explain. You don't overthink. You're not stuck in hypotheticals. You're not negotiating with reality like it's a hostile coworker. You're simply here, and being here in this breath, this moment, that's where peace lives. Peace doesn't mean passive. Some people confuse peace with passivity, like, oh, if I'm peaceful, does that mean I just let people walk all over me? Not at all. Real peace has boundaries. Real peace speaks up. Real peace walks away when necessary. But it doesn't drag drama along like a carry-on bag. It's a quiet confidence. It doesn't need to win the argument. It doesn't need to be seen as right. It doesn't need to prove its worth. It just is. Even when chaos knocks, peace answers the door with compassion and doesn't invite the drama to stay for dinner. You stop bargaining with reality. You don't say things like, if only I had done this differently, or why does this always happen to me, as much anymore. You've stopped the bargaining. You've stopped trying to reverse the past or manipulate the future. You've entered the present fully, not with resignation but with reverence. It's like your soul finally exhaled, and that's a peace no one can give you, and no one can take away. Sign 5. You genuinely forgive people, even the ones who never said sorry. This one's heavy, because let's be honest, some people hurt you and they never looked back. No apology, no accountability, just silence, like they walked away from the wreckage with clean hands while you were left picking up emotional shrapnel. And yet, here you are, no longer obsessing, no longer rehearsing what you wish you'd said, no longer checking their profile or wondering if karma got them yet. You're just done. And not the fake kind of done where you pretend to move on, but secretly want revenge. Number, you're actually done, as in your spirit released the contract. That's not weakness, that's spiritual power. Forgiveness isn't about them. Let's get one thing straight. Forgiveness isn't about giving the other person a free pass. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's not saying, it's okay. It's not even necessarily about reconciling or ever speaking to them again. Forgiveness is about your energy. It's about releasing the grip they unknowingly still had on your mind, your nervous system, your story. It's saying, I refuse to keep carrying the weight of what you did. Because honestly, you deserve peace more than you deserve closure. Try this, the burning letters technique. There's a powerful ritual that's been used in spiritual circles for generations. It's deceptively simple. You write them a letter, unfiltered, uncensored. You say everything, not to be kind, not to be polite, but to be honest. Then, you burn it. You don't send it. You don't read it aloud. You don't keep it. You burn it. And as the flames consume the paper, your heart begins to loosen. Your breath softens. That tightness in your chest, it starts to melt. It's not instant, but it's real, because your soul recognizes the symbolic act. That's karmic release. What forgiveness actually feels like. It feels like softness, like you could hear their name and not twitch, like you could see their face and not break, like the past doesn't have hooks in you anymore. It's not that you forget what happened, it's that you no longer live in it. And sometimes the most unexpected sign of forgiveness is indifference, not bitterness, not resentment, just neutrality. That's the final stage of karmic healing, when the wound becomes a scar, and the scar no longer defines you. Sign 6. You attract what's meant for you without chasing it. You know that frantic energy? The one where you're constantly forcing things, relationships, opportunities, timing, like you're trying to shove your soul into the wrong shape just to make something finally work? Yeah, that fades. Because once your karma starts clearing, your energy shifts from hustle to harmony. You're not scrambling anymore. You're aligning. You're no longer chasing things out of fear they'll leave or never come at all. You trust that what's meant for you will feel right, flow right, arrive right, not because you've become some kind of manifestation wizard, but because you've stopped blocking the current with your doubt, desperation, or guilt. You move from magnetism, not manipulation. There's this misconception that being spiritual means being passive, that if you're really aligned, things just magically show up with no effort. Let's clear that up. This isn't about sitting on your couch, whispering affirmations, and waiting for a dream job to knock on your door while you binge Netflix. It's about recognizing that aligned action feels very different from forced effort. You're still moving, still working, still showing up, but from a place of clarity, not contraction. You take the step, and life meets you halfway. And when things fall apart, you don't panic. You get curious. You trust redirection. Because cleared karma often means closed doors, but only the ones that were draining your energy anyway. Your vibe becomes the filter. You start noticing something else too. You don't have to protect your energy as much because your energy is already doing the sorting for you. People who aren't aligned with your growth, they don't stick around long. Opportunities that used to tempt you don't even spark interest now. You've raised your frequency, not in some abstract woo-woo way, but in a very felt sense. It's like your entire field says, only truth, only alignment, only mutual respect allowed here. And what doesn't fit that doesn't even get in the door. No more bargaining with the universe. You don't beg the universe for signs. You don't do mental gymnastics to justify misaligned paths. You just listen. When it feels forced, you pause. When it feels right, you move. When it falls away, you trust the space it leaves behind. And maybe for the first time in your life, you don't confuse lack of effort with lack of value. You realize the deepest connections to work, people, purpose are effortless but sacred. That's karmic ease. It's not always easy, but it's aligned, and that's the difference. Sign 7. You feel guided, even when you don't know the path. There comes a strange but beautiful moment in your spiritual evolution, when you don't have all the answers, and you're finally okay with that. You stop clinging to timelines. You stop needing guarantees. You stop obsessively refreshing your life for updates like it's a delivery app. Instead, you begin to trust, not blindly, not naively, but deeply. You begin to feel, not just believe, but truly feel, that something wiser than your mind is steering you. Something more intuitive, more spacious, more honest than fear. You don't always know where you're going, but you know you're not lost. That's what it feels like when your karma clears. Certainty fades, but peace grows. It's wild, isn't it? We spend most of our lives chasing certainty. The 5-year plan, the dream job, the right person, the checklist. And then we evolve. Suddenly, certainty doesn't feel so important anymore. Instead, you start prioritizing alignment. You care less about what looks good on paper and more about what feels good in your gut. You stop making decisions just to avoid discomfort. You stop saying yes just because you're scared of the void. You get comfortable with open space. You let life surprise you because you finally trust the unfolding. That's not just healing, that's karma releasing its grip on your fear of the unknown. Intuition becomes louder than fear. You used to ask everyone for advice, didn't you? You'd poll friends, therapists, tarot cards, anyone or anything that might give you certainty. Now, you ask your body, your breath, your stillness, and more often than not, you hear an answer. It's subtle but clear, a quiet knowing, a gentle pull, a full body yes or an unmistakable no. You trust that rhythm, you trust the nudge, even when it doesn't make logical sense, even when it's inconvenient. That trust, that's the soul whispering louder than karma ever screamed. You stop forcing the path and let it appear. You stop pushing for things to happen in a certain order. You don't chase the title, the follower count, the next milestone. You don't need every duck in a row before you move forward. You just move, one step at a time, not recklessly, not carelessly, but with quiet courage. You've learned that the path appears as you walk it, not before. It's not about building a perfect life. It's about walking a meaningful one. And suddenly, you are. Final reflection, the karmic shift you didn't see coming. Here's the truth. Karma clearing isn't dramatic. It's not some divine bolt of lightning that makes your whole life make sense overnight. It's quiet, it's tender, it's the slow unbinding of pain, the soft collapse of old stories, the sacred return to now. You stop performing, you stop controlling, you stop punishing yourself for how long it took to get here, and you begin again. Not as someone who achieved peace, but as someone who remembered it was always within you. Closing, you don't heal by force, you heal by flow. If you're here reading this, something tells me you're already deep in this process. Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you thought you were just over it. But the real story, you're lighter now. You're freer now. You've stopped trying to rewrite the past. You've stopped clinging to what's already left. And you've started, softly, gently, without announcement, becoming the version of yourself that your old pain couldn't even imagine. That is no small thing. So here's your quiet confirmation. Your karma is clearing, your path is unfolding, and your soul, it's already home.